A stark black screen. The faint echo of metal doors slamming. Then quick flashes. Tattooed hands exchanging notes under a cell door. A hidden weapon wrapped in cloth. A whispered warning in a crowded chow hall. A narrator's voice cuts through. You think you know what prison is like? Movies show gangs, fights, and lockdowns. But the real survival game is quieter. Codes, routines, and instincts honed behind bars. In this documentary, former inmates from some of America's toughest prisons, Pelican Bay, Angola, Rikers Island, ADX Florence, break their silence. They reveal how they navigated violence, avoided trouble, and stayed alive in places designed to crush hope. Every tactic you'll hear comes from real testimony, investigative journalism, and court records. No myths, no exaggeration. Stay until the end to hear the one survival tactic even guards respect. This is Former Inmates Reveal Survival Tactics Inside America's Toughest Prisons. The Unwritten Rules. Before you learn tactics, you have to learn the code. Every maximum security prison has its own culture, a mix of official regulations and unwritten rules enforced by inmates. Former prisoner interviews paint the same picture. The first weeks are the most dangerous, because you don't know the customs. Don't sit at a table unless invited. Never reach into another man's food tray. Look, but don't stare. These aren't suggestions. They're survival. Violate them, and you may be tested with violence. We see a composite character, Anthony, arriving at a California supermax. He watches silently as older inmates gesture where to stand in line. Another man whispers, "Keep your eyes open, your mouth shut." Anthony learns fast that respect is currency. A wrong move can brand you a target. The unwritten rules aren't about morality. They're about boundaries in a compressed, high-stress environment. Form-10. Our inmates say following them is the first survival tactic. Choosing alliances. Carefully. In maximum security prisons, groups form along gang lines, geography, or shared interests. Former inmates warn that choosing alliances too quickly can be deadly. Don't join the first group that talks to you, says one. Watch, learn who's who, then decide. Anthony, our composite character, spends weeks keeping to himself. He eats alone, listens, and observes the quiet power brokers. Eventually, he joins a small group of lifers who focus on working out and reading. Neutral territory. Survival means balancing protection with independence. Join a gang, and you gain safety but inherit enemies. Stay solo, and you risk being unprotected. Many former inmates describe carving out a niche, working in the library, tutoring, or cleaning, as a way to stay useful and avoid being dragged into violence. This chapter shows viewers the chess game behind the stereotypes, how every move inside can have consequences months later. Controlling your routine. Former inmates say one of the strongest survival tactics isn't about fights or alliances. It's about routine. In an environment designed to take away control, creating a personal schedule can keep your mind sharp and your body ready. Anthony wakes at 4:30 a.m., even though lights don't come on until 6 o'clock. He does push-ups, squats, stretches, then reads or writes letters. He cleans his cell meticulously, not for the guards, but for himself. If you let the place define you, you disappear. A former Pelican Bay prisoner tells us. Routine is rebellion. We cut to shots of lined notebooks filled with workout logs, lists of books, even daily affirmations. Viewers begin to see that survival isn't just physical. It's mental discipline built 1 hour at a time. Research supports this. Psychologists who study long-term inmates say structured days reduce stress, violence, and depression. Even small rituals, making a bed, shaving, practicing a language, anchor the self. In Anthony's cell, the routine is a shield against chaos. The art of respect and communication. Inside a maximum security prison, Words can be weapons or lifelines. Former inmates describe learning a new language of tone, posture, and timing. Never yell across the tier, one says. Never put someone on blast. Speak quietly, directly, respectfully. Anthony practices what he sees. He greets others with a nod, waits to be spoken to, uses first names sparingly. He never borrows without repaying immediately. Over time, this quiet respect builds a buffer around him. Even guards notice. Fewer cell searches, fewer confrontations. Communication is also about diffusing conflict. One lifer recalls intervening in an argument before it turned violent by using humor. Another says he always carried a deck of cards to offer a game instead of a fight. These small social tactics, invisible to outsiders, can mean survival inside. This chapter shows viewers that survival isn't just toughness. It's emotional intelligence under pressure. Mental survival in solitary. For many prisoners, survival isn't just about the yard or chow hall. It's about surviving the box, solitary confinement. 23 hours a day in a concrete room with nothing but a steel bed, a toilet sink combo, and your thoughts. Former inmates describe solitary as a war inside your head. The noise of silence, the weight of days bleeding together, the temptation to give up. Anthony spends weeks in the hole after being caught with contraband. His survival tactics are mental. He recites old rap lyrics from memory. He counts bricks on the wall in patterns of 4. He invents math problems and solves them in his head. Some inmates tap messages through pipes or air vents, developing secret conversations to fight the isolation. Psychologists have documented how long-term solitary confinement can cause hallucinations, paranoia, and memory loss. But those who endure develop strategies, routine, keeping a strict daily schedule. Creativity, writing, drawing, even crafting chess pieces from toilet paper. Connection, shouting to others, trading jokes, creating invisible communities. One former Angola inmate says, "I built a world in my mind. Every day I walked through it. That's how I stayed sane." Viewers learn here that survival is not just about physical safety. It's about protecting the mind from collapse. The toughest prisons don't just test your body. They test whether you can keep your own company without losing yourself. The one survival tactic. Even guards respect. Amid the stories of gangs, fights, and solitary, one survival tactic stands out. And even guards admit it earns respect. Staying low, staying busy, and staying out of unnecessary drama. Former inmates say the men who last longest inside aren't always the strongest or the most feared. They're the ones who master invisibility. They work steady jobs, keep cells clean, avoid gossip, and never give staff a reason to single them out. Anthony learns this in his second year. He takes a job mopping tiers. Other inmates mock it as janitor duty. But soon he's trusted to move between units, hearing conversations, building quiet connections. Guards nod to him because he does the work without complaint. Other prisoners respect him because he stays neutral. In an environment where every misstep can spark violence, the ability to blend in, to become part of the background, is survival. Guards call it keeping it tight. Inmates call it doing your own time. This final chapter circles back to the heart of survival: discipline, respect, and self-control. It's not the loudest men who survive America's toughest prisons. It's the ones who understand the game, play it quietly, and live to walk out the gate. Outro former inmates will tell you, Prezo. These survival tactics aren't lessons for glamorization. They're warnings about what happens inside institutions built to confine and break people. And they're proof that even in the harshest conditions, the human drive to endure is stronger than steel bars. Thanks for watching Behind Bars TV. If this documentary opened your eyes, hit the like button and subscribe for more real stories from inside the world's toughest prisons. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next episode.